Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? As always, I hope that this live or this replay finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Mel, your new favorite astrologer, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, welcome to the Astro Room where we discuss everything astrology. And welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast for the week of May 8th through 14th, 2023. All right, my loves. So, Mercury retrograde still has me a little turned around because, again, my software skipped a complete scene. So, there's that. And I kind of lost, you know how you have like a flow and a rhythm, and I just like lost it. So I did the intro. I told you who I am. All right. And then we have, so this channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell to always be notified when I come out with new content. All right. So we got that out of the way. So yes. Welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast. But before we get into everything and get this program underway, I want to know how you're feeling, right? Because we are post-eclipse. Beginning tomorrow, the energy is going to start to taper off, and we're going to be out of this particular eclipse season, all right? So we'll have the summer to kind of rest up, recalibrate before we get into the next edition of eclipse season, which will be in the fall. But in any event, I would love to know how you guys are feeling. How have you fared under this astrological weather? Scorpio is an intense sign, and that's the sign of this past lunar eclipse. So it may have been a time of endings and new beginnings, a time of transformation, a time of repressed emotions coming to the surface. It could be intense. It may still be intense for some of us. For others, it may have been a time that was very truth revealing, right? Which could also be intense in its own way, right? But I think that regardless of however this eclipse made you feel or whatever it brought up, the most important thing to remember about eclipses is that it's the universe's way of rearranging things in our lives. It's a time of surrender. It's a time when we let go, right? If you're not new to this, right? And by this, I mean my channel in my lives, you'll know that I say that we co-create with the universe, right? And there are times when we're driving. There's times when, the universe, spirit, God, whatever you believe in, is driving. And I feel like eclipses, it's that time when we let the universe kind of take the wheel and we kind of take a step back. So hopefully you got some rest. I don't know about you, but this eclipse kind of made me feel quite dehydrated. I found that myself drinking a lot more water. I was very tired, so hopefully you guys were able to get some rest, stay hydrated, all that good stuff, all right? So we've got Ramel, who is in the house. Hello, all right? And Rejuvenated, let's see. What are you saying? My electronics have been acting up, not working completely as well. Yes, okay? Mercury retrograde did not come to play. And because Mercury is retrograde in Taurus, and Taurus rules tangible things. It rules assets. It rules things like physical things. So it makes sense that your electronics are not working as well. You may have had things that broke, snapped, malfunction. All of that stuff is classic Mercury retrograde, especially when Mercury is retrograde in Taurus. All right. Hello, Devon Carter. I love this comment right here. Oh, you've been extra tired? Yes, same. Eclipse energy. So here's the thing. We just had a lunar eclipse, right? And that's during a full moon. So think of the tides of the ocean, right? You have low tide, you have high tide. So full moons actually end up drawing out a lot of water. That's why we tend to be dehydrated. That can also result in us feeling tired. So yes, a lot of all those kind of physical symptoms with this particular eclipse. Okay. Super ready for this information. Thank you for doing what you do. I've been grounding on these past full moons and eclipses. Let me tell you, I felt all of it. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And my pleasure. I love doing this. But I love that you have been grounding, okay? Because that is super, super important. The energies. So just to backtrack, I guess going on a slight little tangent right now. all of this information that I give is so you can use it. So the energy doesn't end up using you, right? And the energies of the lunar cycle are super important, not just when we're in an eclipse, not even just when we have like a new moon and a full moon, but the entire lunar cycle is so important. It's such potent energy for our well-being, especially our emotional well-being, even for our spiritual well-being. And it's also super important when we're talking about manifestation, when we're talking about consciously creating and co-creating our lives and the things that we want to see in them. So I love the fact that you have been grounding, and yeah, it like the lunar cycle generally will have you feeling a lot, right? I mean, this is the time, especially new moons, especially full moons, I should say, is when, our emotions come to the surface. It's when we really feel things, and eclipses are like full moons. Well, the lunar eclipse is like a full moon on steroids. So it is a lot. It's a lot, but it's really important work that we are doing right now. So hopefully you guys are trudging through it, making your way through it the best you can. And one thing I'm being guided to say right now is that please don't feel like you needed to do something specific, okay? I feel like, especially during eclipse time, it's more about listening to our intuition and allowing ourselves to be guided, as opposed to feeling like I need to do this, I need to do that, I need for this to happen, right? Because again, eclipse season is when you relinquish control. And the fact that you feel like you need to do something specific, or even do something in a specific way, right? Maybe you slept the entire eclipse and you're feeling like, damn, like I should have been doing something. Maybe sleep is what you needed. I think that whatever we experienced, especially during this last lunar eclipse, it's really what we needed. And so again, it brings me back to that point of relinquishing control and allowing spirit to sort of take the wheel right now. Okay. All right. So let's let people over on Twitter know that we're live so they can come and join us. All right. So let's see. Housekeeping and announcements as usual. All right. So if you are joining me here in the live, thank you so much. I appreciate it more than you truly, truly know. Don't forget to say hi on your way in, hit up the chat, and also hit that like button on your way in as well, please and thank you. And also, if you are joining this on the replay, you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. I truly hope and intend that this information is useful and valuable to you. And if you feel so inclined, you can also hit that like button as well. I have a feeling you're going to enjoy it, so you might want to preemptively hit that like button, all right? And if you guys are enjoying these lives, I know I've been slacking on the videos, like the scripted videos that I typically release every week, but I am gathering a lot of information and stockpiling a lot of stuff because I've got some really great stuff coming your way, both here on YouTube and offline. Let me not say offline. Let me say online, but just not on YouTube. All right. So definitely, stay tuned because a lot of great stuff is coming. And if you find this information useful and you'd like to support the channel, that information is in the description box as well. All right. So we've got that out the way. And if you are someone who is interested in your horoscope, right, but you kind of don't know where to look, or the stuff online just really isn't hitting for you, definitely consider subscribing to my text service. And you can do that by texting Zodiac to 855-826-5544. You'll be prompted to put in your rising or your sun sign. And then every Monday morning, you will receive a quick and dirty weekly horoscope. Now, people really seem to like this. This is very popular. So if you're interested, that information will be in the description box below. All right. And as always, if you are someone who is new to astrology, or maybe you're not even new to astrology, but you are forgetting things, or you're overwhelmed with information, I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet that basically gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start studying astrology. Mainly the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the houses, the signs, I did that out of order. Yeah, Mercury retrograde is really doing the most right now. The planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. All right. So it's an 11-page PDF document that, again, gives you a quick summary on all of these things so you can start committing them to memory. Because like anything, it's not even what I meant to say. I meant to say, despite what anyone may tell you, astrology is indeed a science. And like any science, requires a good deal of study. So in order to help you start studying, I created this cheat sheet. So if you're interested, the link to that will be in the description box below. All you need to do is drop your email address and you are good to go. All right. So back to the matter at hand. All right. So, generally speaking, this week we don't have anything completely major. We've kind of left a lot of that very intense energy with the eclipse that just passed. All right. But we do have something very important happening this week, which you may be very excited about because Mercury is going to be going direct after having been retrograde for 3 weeks. Okay. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that all planets, apart from the sun and the moon, go retrograde at some point. And it's not like on the day that the planet goes retrograde, it like does an about face and starts going retrograde. There is a pre-shadow period and a post-shadow period, right? So before Mercury goes retrograde, it has a pre-shadow period of about a week. So a week before the schedules go retrograde, it starts turning directions. Just like thereafter, once it goes direct, the day it goes direct, it starts turning forward, and then it will be fully forward about a week and a half after it goes direct. Okay, so Mercury is getting ready to go direct, and by the end of May, Mercury will finally be operating as usual, right? But in any event, I find that even the day that Mercury stations direct, there seems to be at least a noticeable amount of energy, right? Like you notice the energy shift, like things start to ease up a little bit, right? And so that's what we have to look forward to this week. We also have some, we also have some sextiles, which means that this week is going to be full of opportunity, all right? Especially when it comes to opportunities from the past, which I think is very important, but I'll be getting into that a little later. We've got a powerful conjunction happening tomorrow, which kind of will build upon the energy of the eclipse, but in a good way, I think. And I feel like it's going to add like an exclamation point to some of the things that we've been learning or uncovering or discovering with this particular eclipse. All right. And we also have a bit of fate and fortune headed our way because we've got an important aspect to the North Node this week. All right. So nothing too crazy, but definitely some very important energy and some important insights that can be gained this week. All right, so let's get into it and see exactly what we've got going on. So first off, we have what I like to call rebel with a cause, all right? And this is going to be a conjunction between the sun and Uranus, which is actually happening tomorrow. Anytime you talk about Uranus, you're talking about surprises, right? And with the sun conjunct Uranus, this is like having a light bulb moment, okay? This is about having an aha moment, a flash of intuition, okay? And it's sort of this feeling of wanting to rebel, right? But not rebelling just for the sake of rebelling. It's like wanting to rebel, but understanding that you're doing it for a very specific reason, okay? Because we have this sun in conjunction with Uranus, there's this energy of not only confidence, but of clarity. So it's this flash of insight that may make you wanting to go left while everyone is going right. And it's not like you want to go left just because you want to be different. You're going left for a very particular reason, okay? So that's why I say this kind of builds on the energy of the eclipse, because the eclipse was all about exposing the truth. It was all about enlightenment, right? To a certain extent. And I feel like this particular transit, this sun conjunct Uranus, is going to build upon that, all right? So I think it's going to be pretty important. Then we have a very nice transit later on in the week. It's called Everlasting Love. That's what I like to call it because it's Venus trine Saturn. Emphasis on everlasting. Okay, Venus trine Saturn. Anytime you have Venus and Saturn transits, it has a lot to do with love and even to a certain extent like soulmate energy. But keep in mind, it's not going to be saucy. It's not going to be sexy. It's going to be very practical. Okay, it's going to, but here's the thing. Even though it's practical, because Saturn is currently in Pisces, it's almost like your dream coming true, perhaps your dream relationship coming true. All right. Now, it all depends on where it's going down in your chart. However, I feel like this is a great transit, not only for relationships, but for money as well. All right. And I'll get into that a little bit later. And then finally, we have what I like to call about face. And this is Mercury going direct in Taurus, which is going down on Sunday. All right. So this is getting focused. This is not feeling so scattered. This is going to be building and planning for the future. So when Mercury initially went into Taurus and it was direct, it really had a lot to do with finance. It had a lot to do with value. It has a lot to do with assets and planning for those things. Now, Mercury retrograde kind of put a monkey wrench in all of that in order to get you to stop, really think about things and be intentional. And now that Mercury is going direct, it's time to perhaps act on some of those plans and intentions that we had set a couple of weeks back. So it's going to be a good time for moving forward, right? Whenever a planet goes direct, generally speaking, it is always a great time to move forward, especially with respect to the energy signature of that particular planet. And so because it's Mercury, it's a great time to move forward on plans, on communication. It's a time to be social, and it's a time to exercise your throat chakra, okay? But I'll get more into that a little bit later. All right, so those are the highlights. So let's get into the week and see exactly what we've got going on. All right, so today we have the moon moving into serious and structured Capricorn. Then tomorrow we have that Sun-Uranus conjunction that I was just discussing. Then on Wednesday, we've got Venus sextile the North Node, which is very, very important. And the moon will be moving into rebellious Aquarius. Then on Friday, we've got Mercury making 2 sextiles, one to Saturn and one to Venus. All right, so Mercury is going to be kind of busy before it goes retrograde. So I feel like the end of this week is going to be a time when you're really wrapping up loose ends with respect to things from the past, okay? Then on Saturday, we've got Venus trine Saturn, which is all about that everlasting love I was talking about. And the moon will be moving into Pisces. So trust and believe, Saturday is going to be a very dreamy and perhaps romantic kind of day, but maybe not in the way you think. Not in a romance novel kind of way, but in a very practical kind of way. All right, so that's really important. And then Sunday, we end the week with Mercury finally going direct in the sign of Taurus. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it and see what we've got going on. All right, so today we have the moon moving into Capricorn, and you will see that at the bottom left-hand portion of the chart, the moon is at 0 degrees Capricorn. All right, so we just passed the full moon, right? That eclipse was a lunar eclipse, which means it was a full moon. And so now that we've crossed the threshold of the full moon, this week, the moon is going to be in the waning phase. And the waning phase is all about getting rid of what we no longer need. It's about banishing. It's about letting go. It's about decluttering. It's about, especially with the moon in Capricorn, it's about creating structure. And sometimes when we create structure or when we enforce structure, it requires us to do a little bit of organization, and it requires us to get rid of certain things, especially things that are not efficient or useful, okay? And when the moon is in Capricorn, it can be kind of a very sobering kind of moon because we understand that we need structure in our lives, right? It can't be roses and unicorns all the time, especially when we have to adult. We understand that certain structures have to be in place. We have to be disciplined about certain things. Whether you like it or not, bills need to be paid. You need to brush your teeth every day. You need to work. You need to make money. All of these things are sort of topics that Capricorn covers. And when the moon is in Capricorn, we instinctively feel the need or the purpose for those kind of things, okay? One of the overarching or overwhelming emotions that come up when the moon is in Capricorn is our desire for success and achievement. The Capricorn is symbolized by the goat, right? And you've seen plenty of pictures, or maybe you haven't, but I guess I'll inform you. Goats have a thing with mountains. Like, they love to climb mountains. The steeper, the better. They'll be on the littlest ledge, right? But they're making their way to the top. So Capricorn energy is very much centered around success and achievement. And when the moon is in Capricorn, that's where we derive our emotional fulfillment. So we may be thinking about what structures we need to put in our lives in order to succeed, right? This may be a time where you're understanding what work has to be done in order to get to the finish line, in order to be successful, in order to achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve right now, okay? And it's a time when we're typically productive. Capricorn energy, it's not sexy. It's not dynamic. Even though Capricorn is a cardinal sign, meaning that it is concerned with starting things, the energy itself is very stable. It's very down to earth. Capricorn, the one thing that Capricorn energy understands very well is the concept of time and understanding that things may take time, especially when it comes to the things that we want to succeed at or the things that we want to achieve in life. Time is typically a factor that we need to think about. And so we understand that the actions that we do today may not necessarily provide the results that we're looking for today or in this moment, but we know that the work that we're putting in, we know that the structures that we're putting in place, we know that the discipline that we are exercising at this time will eventually lead to success, and success that is long lasting. Capricorn is not about starting anything impulsively or even starting anything that's long term. So whenever you're looking to start something long term, whether you're trying to buy a house, whether you are trying to, undergo a course of study that takes several years, you might want to consider beginning it when the moon is in Capricorn, okay? Because that will put you in the right frame of mind where you understand that things take time and that you're going to have to put the work in, all right? So that's pretty much how the waning gibbous moon in Capricorn goes. All right, so that's today. Let's see what else we got for the rest of the week. All right, so tomorrow we have a very important transit, and that is going to be the Sun conjunct Uranus in Taurus. So you will see both planets at the upper right-hand portion of the chart. Both planets are going to be at 18 degrees Taurus. Okay, and I'm just realizing that they're at 18 degrees. That is actually a very important number in astrology. So I guess so this is sort of an advanced lesson in astrology, but there are certain degrees in astrology that are of importance. And the 18th degree is known as the diabolical degree. Okay, and it's no coincidence that both planets, including Uranus, is going to be at the diabolical degree. Okay. Now, diabolical has a negative connotation, but it can kind of go both ways. Basically, it kind of just means that something major could happen. All right. I'm not going to get into the specifics right now, but anything can happen. And it's probably going to be something major or something profound, okay? Now, anything can happen because we're talking about Uranus. Uranus is the planet of surprise. It is the planet of sudden changes, sudden happenings. Like I said in the highlight section, with the Sun conjunct Uranus, it can be an aha moment. It could be flashes of insight. It could also be a sudden happening that sheds light on a particular thing. Now, because this is going on in the sign of Taurus, it's going to have a lot to do with money. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is the planet of money. So this could be a sudden happening with respect to money. It could be a sudden happening with respect to finances. This could be an aha moment with respect to an issue that has to do with your self-esteem, your self-worth. It could do with your value system. It could do with a physical asset, right? Those are some of the things that could be affected with this particular transit, okay? But this is about sudden change that brings clarity, okay? And I usually refer to Uranus as the hand of God because it's things that are outside of our control. Much like the energy of the eclipse, that's the universe's way of rearranging things in our lives, Uranus kind of does that on a somewhat smaller scale. So again, this could be sudden change. Now, if you experienced some sudden upsets with the eclipse, this might be, think of this as like an aftershock, perhaps, for some. So it could be a time that is still a bit tumultuous. But remember, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. Surprises aren't always bad. And in my opinion, things that we deem as bad aren't really bad anyway, because they either teach us something or they inevitably get us to move to where we need to go. Okay. Now, regardless of what happens under this transit, you're really urged to remain flexible and open-minded. Life is not happening to you, it is happening for you. So whatever comes up is ultimately in your favor, whether you see and understand that now or that becomes apparent to you at a later time. However, because the sun is in this conjunction with Uranus, I feel like it is going to be revealing truth. I feel like it's going to be a moment of clarity, right? And it's not to say that whenever we get clarity, we're immediately urged to move or we're like, oh, this makes sense. But, when the sun shines on something, the truth is inevitable. Like you can't not see it. And so what you choose to do with that information is ultimately up to you, right? Because we all have free will. However, I feel like this is going to be a time where things become revealed. And I think it's for our highest good. I always think things are for our highest good, but with this particular transit, I feel the same way as well. Now, on the flip side of this, or sort of another facet of this transit, is that this may have you feeling extremely rebellious, okay? Taurus energy is fixed energy. It's no surprise that Taurus is symbolized by the bull. Bull is known to be stubborn, right? Sun conjunct Uranus, it may have you really wanting to break out of your comfort zone or do something completely out of the ordinary. I said before, this is a transit that may have you like experiencing an aha moment or flashes of insight. Those flashes of insight may be purposefully moving you out of your comfort zone. And if that's what you feel, if that's what your promptings tell you, then you should definitely follow those because, again, I feel like it is leading you to where you need to go. It's also a great time for like psychic impressions. Your dreams may be very vivid, or you may just have a deeper understanding of things, especially practical things, because this is all going down in Taurus. So I feel like it's just deeper insight, deeper understanding. And again, I feel like that speaks to that moment of clarity that I think that this particular transit is going to bring. I also feel like it's going to bring some self-awareness. Whenever we talk about the sun, we're talking about our egos, we're talking about ourselves, we're talking about our personalities. So this may have an effect of getting you to be a lot more aware of what you're doing, perhaps a lot more aware of what you think about yourself, especially because this is going down in Taurus. Taurus has a lot to do with our self-worth, our self-esteem, our value system. And so I feel like this may be an aha moment or moment of clarity with respect to those things. But in any event, expect the unexpected. Don't brace yourself for a shitstorm. That is what I don't want you to do, because then that's inevitably what you're going to attract. Just be open to whatever the universe has to show you, tell you, or bring you. Right? This could be a very internal thing. Like I said, a flash of insight, an aha moment. This could be a very external thing. Like maybe someone you haven't heard from in the longest time finally reaches out to you with some important information. Or maybe your intuition or your spirit has you doing something out of the ordinary, going someplace you wouldn't normally go, and meeting someone who has a lot to impart upon you, right? But if you're closed-minded, if you're resistant to your promptings or to what the universe is trying to show you, you may miss out on those things. So again, this is a time where you want to be flexible and open-minded. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so on Wednesday, we've got Venus sextile the North Node, and the moon is going to be moving into Aquarius, okay? So Venus is currently in Cancer, okay? And then we've got the North Node currently in Taurus. So the North Node is not a planet, it is a point. So Venus will be sextile to this point, known as the North Node. And then we also have the moon moving into Aquarius, where it will conjunct Pluto that is currently retrograde. All right, so let's talk about that. So first up, Venus sextile the North Node. So the North Node is called the node of fate, right? It's all about sort of where we're headed in this lifetime. So there's going to be this element of fate and destiny that we may be experiencing midweek, okay? What I love about Venus sextile the North Node is that it allows you to attract things into your life, okay? Venus is the planet of attraction. Venus is also the planet of love and money. So this may be a time where you are attracting either of those things into your life in a fated sort of way, or in a way that really is steering you in the direction of where you need to go. Okay. So this is very much in alignment with your soul, with your spirit, especially because Venus is currently in Cancer. Okay. So this is about sort of understanding what your life purpose is, maybe what you're here to do, and attracting the things that you need in order to fulfill that purpose or to carry out that mission. Okay. One of the things I really like about this particular transit is that it offers the opportunity to mend relationships, especially since we currently have two planets retrograde, Pluto and Mercury, right? And Venus is the planet of relationships. I feel like this is a great time to like bury the hatchet. This is a great time to, like I said, just mend relationships. So if there's a relationship that maybe you and a friend fell out, or you and a family member are estranged or anything like that, the energy of this particular transit, namely Venus sextile the North Node, is great for mending relationships. I would say, though, only as you are prompted to do so. Now, if you feel in your heart that you're missing this person, or that there's some value that you provide to this person or they provide to you, and your intuition is sort of guiding you to do that, then sure. But I don't necessarily think because the energy is conducive to doing that you should necessarily just go out and try to mend any relationship. Although that may be a part of your higher plan. But if you are prompted to mend any relationship, I would definitely do that. Okay. So again, whenever we're talking about fate, destiny, whether it's like kind of in the way that we talk about Uranus or in the way that we talk about the North Node, it's about being open and receptive. It's almost like, because Venus is the planet of love, right? It's very hard to receive love if you're not willing to give it, meaning that you have to remain open to love, right? And so in doing so, that's how we attract things. We attract things by remaining open to receiving them. And that's how everything cycles to us. That's how energy flows. And so remain open to whatever it is. Maybe you have someone who asks you out on a date, right? And maybe you're like, I don't know. But you might want to explore that. You never know what could happen. Or maybe someone has some sort of a financial situation. Maybe they have an investment tip, or they want to talk to you and get some financial advice or anything of that sort. You may want to have that conversation. You may want to at least look into it, because again, because we're talking about the North Node, there's this energy of, this is a higher level purpose. This is getting us to where we need to go. And so we may not be able to see the end of the tunnel right now, but we are taking little steps, putting one foot in front of the other in order to get to that light at the end of the tunnel. And so taking these little actions, following your promptings from spirit, remaining open to whatever advice or whatever things that may guide you or teach you is kind of the best way to take advantage of this energy. Okay. Then we also have the moon moving into Aquarius. Okay. And so interestingly enough, the moon is going to be conjunct Pluto, and Pluto is going to be retrograde. So even though Aquarius isn't necessarily an emotional sign, typically, Aquarian energy can be described as emotionally detached and a little cold, because Aquarius energy is very intellectual. It's very mind-based, right? But because the moon is going to be in Aquarius and is going to be on Pluto retrograde, which is currently in Aquarius as well, there may be an intensity to this particular phase of the moon while the moon is in Aquarius. So I feel like it may have us really thinking about our emotions, especially deep emotions. Now, Aquarius is all about looking toward the future. It's also about humanity. It's like planning for the future, brainstorming, all of that intellectual kind of activity is characteristic of Aquarian energy. But because Pluto has this energy of intensity, has a lot to do with repressed emotions, it has to do with our inner world. And with Pluto currently retrograde, there's going to be a big emphasis on our inner world. I think that this is where like our spirit and our mind kind of meet when the moon is in Aquarius, conjunct Pluto retrograde. So I feel like this is just going to have us thinking about ourselves on a very introspective level and doing it very intensely. So be mindful of being in your head a little too much, right? You definitely don't want to overdo it because Pluto energy can be very obsessive. So you may find that you're thinking about certain things, especially certain things from the past. You may be thinking of them obsessively or in a very intense and sort of aggressive sort of way. So you want to practice compassion with yourself, with whatever comes up, with whatever you're thinking about. And if you find that it's too much, if you find that you need to escape, then do something mindless. That's kind of the best way to combat being in your head too much, is to do something mindless. Do something that maybe requires, working with your hands or anything having to do with physical activity. Because I feel like while the moon is in Aquarius, it may be a time when we're definitely really in our head a lot and thinking about things that maybe we don't want to spend too much time on, or things that have hurt us, or maybe even emotional wounds and traumas. So again, practice compassion with yourself. And if it's too much, do what you can to take your mind off those things. All right. So that's Wednesday. Let's get into Friday. All right, so on Friday, we've got Mercury sextile 2 different planets. So Mercury is currently retrograde in Taurus, which you'll see a little purple guy towards the bottom right-hand portion of the chart. It's going to be sextile to Venus in Cancer. It's also going to be sextile to Saturn in Pisces. All right, so let's talk about it. So first let's talk about Mercury sextile Saturn. This is a great transit for clear thinking. This is getting very clear on the work that you need to do, the structures that you need to have, and the discipline that you may need to exercise, especially when we're talking about achieving goals, success, all that stuff. Now, what I love about this in particular is that Saturn is currently in Pisces. So this is thinking practically about our dreams, thinking practically about the things that we want to manifest. I love this because it really takes the energy of manifestation and makes it real, in the sense that thoughts become things. And I feel like these thoughts that we're thinking are going to spur us into practical action. It's not just some pipe dream, some fantasy that we have. This is about like, okay, this is what I want to achieve, and this is what I practically need to do to achieve it. Now, keep in mind, because Saturn is in Pisces and Pisces rules our subconscious, this isn't about necessarily attacking your goals and the things that you want to achieve from an ego point of view, meaning that you don't have to think too hard consciously. More so, you have to feel it real. This is about embodying the energy that you want to manifest. And by doing so, that will spur you into inspired action, which is going to lead you to your ultimate goal, success, or manifestation. Okay. It's also a good time to plan for the long term. Like I mentioned before with that Capricorn energy, Capricorn is actually ruled by Saturn. So Saturn understands time, it understands delays, it understands discipline and obstacles. So this is a time where you can successfully make long-term plans. And because Saturn is in Pisces, it almost allows you to see the bigger picture. like seeing the bigger picture and understanding what practically has to be done in order for that bigger picture to come to fruition is going to be easier for you under this transit. So this is a great time for studying, researching, a great time for like actually just putting in the work and planning for the things that you want to manifest in your life. Okay. Now, one of the other things that I think is good about this particular transit is that it lends itself to mentor-mentee relationships. So let's say you have a lofty plan. Maybe you want to start a business. I feel like under this transit, it would be beneficial for you to seek out a mentor, or if you already have a mentor, to involve them in your planning process, because I feel like they can shed light on things that you don't know, things that they can teach you. That's sort of the Mercury side of that transit. And they can help you understand and help you develop the bigger picture. Okay. And that's going to be that Saturn and Pisces portion of that transit. So again, great time for studying, researching, planning. Also a good time for doing business. Any kind of transactional work will really thrive under this particular transit. All right. I feel like it's really positive. Okay. And then next up, we've got Mercury sextile Venus. So I feel like Friday is one of those days where you can like get work done, but you can also have a good time, because Mercury sextile Venus is all about socializing. It's all about being social. It's all about talking to people. And it's not socializing just for the sake of socializing. It's that people are feeling less stressed, and socializing can be more harmonious under this particular transit. So if you've been cooped up lately, especially with these eclipse energies, if you've been feeling like you've been staying home a lot, that, you know, the energies have been just too intense, maybe you've been isolating, I feel like this particular transit, this coming weekend, is going to be great for you to get out and socialize, because I feel like everyone's just going to be feeling a lot more relaxed and really wanting to socialize with one another. Okay. This is also a good day for doing business, right? Because Venus has a lot to do with money. And so you may find that opportunities will arise in terms of business dealings. Maybe even some contractual things may arise with this particular transit. Now, of course, it's not to say that you should just take any opportunity that comes your way. However, I do think that if any opportunities arise under this transit, they would probably be more favorable than less favorable. All right. You're definitely going to want to do your research and figure out if it makes sense for you. But I think that any opportunities that arise would probably be pretty good. Okay. It's also a great time to resolve conflict, whether it's in a relationship or, you know, in a business setting. This transit lends itself to resolving conflict in a very judicious and equitable sort of way. It's one of those situations where everyone can win. So that's very important, especially if you are engaged in anything in the legal system, contract negotiations, any of that kind of stuff. This is a time where everyone can come to some sort of middle ground, some kind of happy medium, and resolve any conflicts. It's also great for things like settlements and things like that. So again, if you are in the midst of a legal situation, or even if you're just starting one, I think that you can either start on the right foot or even end on the right foot in terms of settlements and resolving conflicts. All right. Let's see. Do we have anything else? That is pretty much it. But I think that for the most part, Mercury sextile Venus, it's just a great time to relax with friends. Relax, do some business, get to work, do some planning. I feel like Friday is going to be a pretty feel-good kind of day. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so on Saturday is going to be a somewhat kind of romantic day. All right, we've got Venus trine Saturn, and the moon is also going to be moving into Pisces. So the moon is going to be conjuncting Saturn, and both the moon and Saturn are going to be trine to Venus. Okay, so first up, Venus just made her way into Cancer. And if you caught my live last week, I spoke about how Venus in Cancer is all about love and devotion. It's all about nurturing the things that we value, okay? Watching things develop. It's like, you know, it's like lovingly planting a seed, giving it the right soil, giving it the right nutrients, watering it, putting it in sunlight, and watching it grow. Now, because Venus has a lot to do with love, this sort of energy, this love, devotion, and nurturing energy is going to be directed towards relationships. And Venus trine Saturn is honestly one of my favorite transits because although it doesn't feel sexy, it doesn't feel emotional, it's love on a very practical kind. It's love in a very practical kind of way, in a longevity kind of way. Okay. It's about commitment. It's about longevity. It's about being serious, taking relationships to the next level. There's also this element of like soulmate, if you believe in that. That kind of energy is very characteristic of this kind of transit. But more importantly, it's about taking a steady and practical approach to your relationships. So remember I said before, Venus in Cancer, it's all about love and devotion and nurturing, right? So with Venus trine Saturn, this isn't about nurturing your relationships like with emotion, right? Although that is part of it. I think this is nurturing your relationship in a practical way. What is required of you and your partner in order to have a successful long-term relationship, whether it's just a long-term relationship or it's marriage, right? What practical things need to occur? By doing these practical things, that is how you will be nurturing this relationship, okay? And part of that can be problem solving. One of the themes that I've seen play throughout this entire week is the ability to mend relationships. We saw it before. We see it with Mercury sextile Venus. We're seeing it with Venus trine Saturn, and we also see it with Venus sextile the North Node. So, side note, it's just a great week for mending relationships generally. But when it comes to nurturing a relationship so that it develops and grows into something long lasting, this may require a bit of problem solving or a bit of mending, right? And I feel like whatever you are inclined to do will be of a very practical nature. This isn't going to be about being emotional or trying something new. I feel like it's going to be, okay, what do we practically need to do to solve this problem? How can we come to an agreement or maybe even agree to disagree on this particular issue so that we can move forward? Okay. This creates a closer bond in relationships because it creates a stable foundation. Again, Saturn isn't sexy. This isn't about having a lot of passion or a lot of emotion. This is about laying the groundwork for success and longevity. So this is a time when, you're creating bonds based on those things, based on stability, based on the foundation that you are building together. All right. Now that's about relationships, but you can also talk about money with this particular transit as well. So this is about investing and nurturing in financial situations that will bear fruit over the long term. This isn't about your get rich quick scheme. This isn't about the hottest stock or the hottest financial tip. This is about what can I do to build my nest egg? And I feel like you're going to feel like you want to do these things again because the moon is going to be conjunct to Saturn. So even though you may be hearing all of these things about get rich quick and do this and do that, instinctively, intuitively, you feel like, no, I need to do whatever is going to yield dividends over the long run. What do I have to do right now practically to set myself up for a successful financial future? Okay. So this is going to be a time to invest in things like real estate, in things like anything that's a long-term investment. It would be a great opportunity. Like this transit would be like the energy is very conducive to investing in those type of things. So whether it's a relationship or whether it's money, whatever is going to bring you success in the long run, over the long term, is what you're going to want to do at this time. All right. Now, because Saturn is in Pisces, there is a little bit of fantasy with this, but not in the way that you think. This is like, okay, I want to have this type of relationship. I want to be with this kind of person. I want our relationship to look, feel, and act a certain way. This is your big picture. right? Saturn in Pisces, it's still about big picture, but it's also about what do I practically have to do in order to have these things? It's like having a dream, having a goal, but being practical about it. It's also about setting boundaries in the sense that whether you're talking about relationships or whether you're talking about money, if you have a goal, right? It does not serve you to do things that are contrary to that goal, even if they feel good in the moment, even if your impulse is telling you to do something. Having the boundaries, having the structure to say, no, I'm not going to do this right now. No, this is not going to get me to my goal. No, I'm not going to spend money on this. No, I'm not going to entertain this person because they don't fit, the type of relationship I want to have. Saturn in Pisces is going to help you bring a practical and common sense approach to that overarching goal, that desire, or that fantasy. Okay. So I feel like it's a really important transit when it comes to relationships and money. All right. Now, this all depends on where it is in your chart as well. So you're going to want to look at your chart and see how this could play out. This literally could be in your relationship house, literally could be in your money house, or it could be in a house that has a lot more to do with your values, right? And your self-worth than anything else. So again, check your chart and see where any of these transits are going down. And then the moon is going to be in Pisces. So this is going to be the time to really feel these things. Remember I said before, it's about feeling these things real. It's not just enough to think about these things. It's not just enough to affirm these things. Yes, thoughts become things, but guess what fuels those thoughts? It's our emotions. And I feel like when the moon is in Pisces, feeling it real is going to have it manifest a lot quicker. Okay. And I say that not in some way like, oh, manifest quick or whatever. I say that in a way, let me not say quick. I should say that feeling it real helps you manifest more effectively. Okay. So keep that in mind over the weekend, especially on Saturday. All right, let's keep it moving. And then finally, we close out the week with Mercury finally going direct in Taurus. You'll see Mercury will be going direct at 5 degrees Taurus on Sunday. All right. So yes, we've all been experiencing the typical Mercury retrograde energy. It's been mixy. A lot of our electronics have been acting up and whatnot. But by and large, retrograde energy is all about going within. It's about rethinking, re-examining, reaffirming, recalibrating, right? And I like the word recalibrate with this particular retrograde because this retrograde occurred in Taurus, and Taurus has a lot to do with finances. So recalibrating ourselves, recalibrating our thought processes in order to have financial abundance or financial success, okay? So this was a great time to review financial plans, savings plans. If you are a business owner, I feel like Mercury retrograde in Taurus was a great time to reflect on your business plans, reflect on how you make money, right? And so now that Mercury is going direct, we can kind of take those things that we've been ruminating on, things that we've been thinking about, and now direct that energy outward. So now we can put those plans into practice, okay? This is also about getting back to work. So Mercury retrograde may have found that things at work may have been stalled, or you may have gone on a tangent or a side project. I feel like things are going to finally go back to their regularly scheduled programming as it pertains to work. Okay. So things may have been disruptive for the last couple of weeks, and things are slowly, beginning on Sunday, things are slowly going to start going back to business as usual. Okay. It's also going to be a time when we get back online in terms of being grounded, in terms of being practical, right? Again, we're taking the energy of Mercury in Taurus that we've been directing inward while Mercury was retrograde, and we are going to be directing it outward. So now it's time to get back to work, and it's time to get back to business as usual. And it's a great way to start off the week, right? Because again, Mercury retrograde is not the most pleasant of transits, but the fact that we're going to be able to get to work and really make changes when it comes to our finances based on what we've learned or based on what we've reflected on over the last couple of weeks. I feel like this Mercury retrograde set us up for financial success going into the future. All right. So that is the forecast for the week. All right. And as always, let's get into the cards and see what messages Spirit has for us for this week. So, as usual, I pull cards based on sign. Although, whatever message finds you and resonates with you, then take it. Whether it's your sun, your moon, your rising, your Jupiter, whatever. If the message resonates, it resonates. All right. So, as always, we start off with Aries. Let's see what we got for Aries for this week. All right, Aries, we've got the Hierophant. So you are feeling high and mighty this week. I'm hearing like you are definitely on your high horse. You have people who are genuinely listening to you or following you. Like this is you really indoctrinating people. You are giving people advice. Like people are very much influenced by you this week. And so Spirit wants you to know that it's very important for you to have, I'm hearing the word morals, but that's not what I want to say. What I want to say is if you have the power to influence, make sure that you are wielding that power in a way that's beneficial to all involved. Now, it could be the case where you're on some fuck shit and maybe there's a specific reason for that, right? But just be mindful of how you wield your power because a lot more people are listening, but more importantly, a lot more people are influenced by what you have to say. All right? So keep that in mind. All right. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus for this week. All right, Taurus, we've got the Emperor. All right. You have sort of the same energy signature as Aries, although you are ready to go to war in the sense that there is a goal, there's something that you are trying to achieve, and you are very defensive about it. Like you're not letting anyone stand in your way. You are just like a drill sergeant when it comes to this. I also see you being very strategic, very calculating when it comes to this goal, this project, or this endeavor. Spirit is saying, be easy. All right. Like I get the sense that you're willing to rip off anyone's head or take people down at the knees if they get in your way this week. And Spirit is like, be easy. Right? It's great that you're enthusiastic and passionate about something, but don't necessarily be destructive and reckless. All right. Use that strategy in a way that is beneficial to all involved. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we have for Gemini. All right, Gemini, we've got the sun. So this is probably going to be a very positive week for you. I also feel like there is this energy of freedom and liberation as evidenced by this card. Freedom and liberation. It's like you're ready to embrace life right now. It leads me to believe that shortly before this week, you were feeling either in the dark, left out in the cold, or just like isolated. And I feel like this is a week where I'm hearing reborn, where you are ready to reemerge and you're feeling good, you're looking good, you're uninhibited, and you are just ready to embrace the world. So this is your time to shine, Gemini. So shine, basically. All right. That was Gemini. So now we are up to Cancer. Let's see what we've got for you this week, Cancer. All right, you've got two cards. First card out, we have the Seven of Cups, and then we have the Star. Interesting. There is some cleansing happening with you right now, Cancer. This may be a week where you're highly emotional. You see all of these cups right here, these 7 cups. You have a lot of options. You have a lot of confusion, and it's almost like you don't know which cups to empty out. I get the sense that this is going to be a highly emotional week because you're feeling a lot. You're hopeful, but you're also very emotional. I mean, being an emotional sign, that's no surprise. And I feel like you're not a stranger to this kind of energy, but I get this sense that there's this element of confusion. Like, I'm not sure what to feel about this. I'm hearing like feeling like you have to prioritize your emotions. Like, I shouldn't be feeling this. I should be feeling that. Or I should be focusing on this and not that. And Spirit is like, just allow yourself to feel whatever comes up. Try to take your mind out of it. Allow whatever comes up to be washed away and cleansed. Don't overthink it too much. All right. And I feel like by the time the week is over, or at least by the beginning of next week, you're going to feel a lot like you're going to feel like relief. You're going to feel lighter, and you're going to feel like you're able to move forward better. I get the sense that all of these emotions, all of these options are kind of weighing down on you. So there is a cleansing happening this week. So if you find that you're crying a lot, allow yourself to, because again, I feel like it's going to be followed by a feeling of relief and clarity. Okay. That was Cancer. So now we are up to Leo. Let's see what we've got for Leo. Leo, I feel like you are feeling small this week. We have the 7 of Wands, okay? And you may be met with resistance or opposition, and it has you feeling small, weak, or powerless. But Spirit is like, you're actually in a much better position than you think you are. Don't allow negative self-talk or even the meaningless chatter of other people to have you feel small, or have you feel insignificant, or have you feel like you're on the losing team. That's what I'm hearing right now. Like, you're in a much better position than you think you are. And you are right to defend your position. Your viewpoint, your opinion, your thoughts on the matter are not only valid, they're most likely correct. So don't allow people to psych you out. Don't allow people to make you feel powerless or to even gaslight you. All right. You're on the right track. And it's definitely valid for you to be defending your position at this time. Okay. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we have for Virgo for this week. Virgo. I'm looking at a plug right now. And you know how an outlet has the two slits and then the hole on the bottom? There's something that's surprising you this week. But not in a bad way. You're going to be like, wow, like something shocking is really going to surprise you this week. Okay. Let's see what card we have for you. All right. We've got the Queen of Wands. I'm hearing you saying like, damn, this person has some really big balls, or like, damn, this person is really confident. Like, this person's confidence really surprises you, or this could even be you. Some of you, I'm hearing like you're exhibiting your inner Leo is what I'm hearing. Like someone may say something to you and your response not only surprises them, but surprises you too. You're like, damn, I didn't think I was that confident, or damn, like I didn't think I was that saucy, or that whatever. But I feel like it's a good confidence. So some of you are really feeling confident. You're feeling expressive this week. And I feel like people are going to be pleasantly surprised. Like, it's almost like you found your voice. And not only have you found your voice, like your voice is different than what people expect it to be. You know, Virgo has this very, I want to say, demure nature to it, right? It's the virgin. It can be soft and feminine. And I feel like you're just going to come off like a lion. Like you're just going to roar. Like you're really going to really open your mouth and say some shit. And again, not only are other people going to be surprised, but you're going to be surprised. And Spirit is like, yes, exude that confidence. Find your inner passion, find your inner fire, and roar. Like, I feel like it's time for you to do so. Very interesting. All right. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we've got for Libra this week. All right, Libra, we've got the 8 of Swords. All right, y'all are in your minds a lot. You guys are almost obsessively thinking about something, but you're thinking about whatever this thing is that you're obsessively thinking about. You're thinking about it from a place of lack of control, almost as if circumstances are happening to you and you have absolutely no control over them. And Spirit is like, it is time to free yourself. And the way to do that is to stop the mental chatter. Like, you have to stop the negative self-talk. You have to stop the discouraging thoughts. And of course, that's easier said than done. but it's really your mind that is trapping you right now. So the perfect advice for you this week is to do mindless things. In the times when you don't have to be working or when you have time to relax, do something that completely takes your mind off of whatever you are obsessively thinking about. I'm hearing that it would really benefit you to do something with your hands. So whether it's cooking, whether it's some kind of craft or some kind of hobby, this is going to get you out of this mental prison that you're in right now. But it's really important that you recognize that you're in a mental prison, because I'm pretty sure it's hard for you to not realize this because you're probably obsessively thinking about something. But it's time to get your mind off of this. The more you think about it, I get the sense the more that you think about it, the more you think that you can control it. Like, oh, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. Thinking that that's going to solve the issue. And Spirit is like, it's not. Like, stop thinking about it. Allow situations to play out. Some of you are preemptively thinking about, it's almost like you're playing chess and you're like trying to think 4 moves ahead. And Spirit is like, you don't need to do all that. Like, calm your mind down and the situation will either resolve itself or the appropriate solution will come to you, but not because you're overthinking about it or you're ruminating on it. You have to just let things be. So do some mindless stuff this week. It'll definitely benefit you and help you get out of this mental prison that you're in. All right. Next up, we've got Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio. All right. Scorpio for this week. All right, Scorpio, we've got the 6 of Pentacles. You're going to be receiving much needed assistance this week. For some, it's definitely monetary assistance, but someone has seen your situation. They've seen you. They understand what you're going through. They see that you may need help and they're ready, willing, and able to come in and assist you. Now, one thing that I'm hearing that for some, this may trigger feelings of inadequacy, feelings of victimhood, like feeling like, oh, I always need help, or this person is going to treat me a certain way because they're helping me, especially if they're giving you money. And Spirit is like, no, this person is actually coming in with pure intentions. Like they've seen the situation. And if you notice, like there's this scale right here. They're coming to even the scales. They're not coming to take advantage of you or to hold this over your head or make you feel some kind of way about this in the future. Like they're literally just coming to help you. So be open and receptive to the help and don't second guess it. Okay. All right. That was Scorpio. So what do we have next? We've got Sagittarius. All right, Sag. Let's see what we have for you this week. Ooh. Okay, Sagittarius, we have the Empress. I'm hearing mother. So with Mother's Day coming up, this is either you as a mother or a mother figure, or you giving birth to something, okay? And I don't get the sense that you're about to give birth to something. I think that this is something that you've been nurturing or mothering. If it's like a creative endeavor, I'm hearing like, especially if you are someone who works in like the creative fields, like maybe you're a content creator, you're a musician or something, whatever you've been nurturing, whatever you've been mothering is going to sort of pay dividends at this time. So I see money coming in. I see, being comfortable. See how she's sitting comfortably on, this seat or whatever. I see abundance. I see money coming in, and I see just loving and nurturing. For some of you, this just may be, issues with your mother coming up this week, whether it's you seeing your mother, wishing her happy Mother's Day, or that is being said to you, or just issues related to mothers. So this could be your basic emotional needs. Some of you may be missing your mother this week. I feel like the issue of motherhood and nurturing is going to be at the forefront of your mind this week. So whether it's of an emotional nature having to do with your mother, or a financial nature, meaning that you are getting money from whatever you've been nurturing and mothering, I feel like this is going to be a week that may be emotional for you, right? In a way that you may be like happy, right? Because you're getting money, or it may have you feeling sentimental because you're thinking about your mother. All right. Okay. That was Sag. So now we are up to Capricorn. Oh, all right, Capricorn. We have the Hierophant. And the first thing I heard was instruction. You will be given instructions this week, okay? And I feel like these instructions have a lot to do with your stability. All right, you're being given direction, you're being given guidance, okay? Especially with the moon in Capricorn. Remember, I said before, it has a lot to do with mentor mentee relationships. And I feel like this may be a week where you might want to check in with your mentor. You may want to seek professional advice from a mentor or someone who's in a position to give professional advice, like an expert or something like that, because I feel like they have important information to impart upon you with respect to stability, with respect to advancement, right? They may have something to tell you or show you that can have you sitting like this priest here. It can help you get ahead. It can help you advance. It can help you get promoted. So this is definitely going to be a week when you want to be open to instruction and guidance, especially from elders, superiors, or mentors, because I feel like the information is going to be very beneficial to you in the future. Okay. That was Capricorn. Now we are up to Aquarius. So let's see what we have for Aquarius for this week. All right, Aquarius, we have the Tower. So something is definitely out of your control, okay? I heard like something large, something expansive. Something is falling apart, and it's for very good reason. This could be something that's completely surprising to you. It could be also something that you knew was coming. You just didn't know it was going to happen right now. But I think whatever this Tower moment is, it's going to be significant. And I don't get the sense that it's happening to you. I think that this is something that you are observing or you're watching. It's almost like you are looking at a building being demolished. It's not a building that you lived in. It's not a building that you worked at. It's just maybe it's a building in your neighborhood and you're just like watching it being demolished, right? And you're seeing this and it's just like a complete surprise to you. Okay. But I feel this element of detachment. Again, like I don't feel like it's directly affecting you. I get the sense that this is something that for some of you might have been secretly waiting for this. Like this might be happening to someone you know, or maybe you feel like someone should be experiencing this. And it's like you are just going to get your lawn chair and your popcorn and watch the show. And it's going to be a shit show for somebody. But again, I feel like you're going to be observing it. And some of you may be like, serves them right. Or, wow, yeah, I saw this coming. Like I knew this was going to happen. All right. Try not to be too judgmental. But yeah, I see you observing, watching something or somebody go down in a major way this week. Okay. And then finally, we've got Pisces. Let's see what we have for Pisces for this week. All right, Pisces, we've got the Four of Coins, the Four of Pentacles. All right. You are definitely being urged to save your money this week. This is not a week for frivolous spending or spending on things that are not a necessity. Some of you are also holding on way too tightly to something to the point where you are blocking your own blessings by being so rigid and immovable. It's almost like what you're holding on to may not be as valuable as you think it is. It may be valuable because it's got history or some sort of sentimental value to you. But ultimately, if you allow yourself to let it go, it can be replaced with something that you can create new memories with, or that may actually end up being a lot more valuable for you than what you're holding on to. So if you find yourself being rigid, if you find yourself being resistant to change, that may show you what you ultimately need to let go of, especially this week. All right. So be receptive, be open, because I think that with some of this energy that's still circulating from the eclipse, with this Sun conjunct Uranus transit that's going down tomorrow, things may be happening unexpectedly, and they may not even be happening to you. Like it may even be like we hear something crazy about the economy or something like that, and you're just like, oh, I'm holding on to my coins real tight, out of fear or something like that. Or maybe you have an asset that you're like, oh, I'm holding on to this thing, and Spirit is like, okay, but like it's really not that valuable. Like if you would let me replace what you're holding on to, like it's actually, I would actually set you up a little better. So again, if you find yourself being very resistant to letting something go, this may be the sign and the confirmation that you need to let it go. And number 2, do not spend frivolity this week. Be a little frugal. Be very intentional with what you spend your money on this week. All right? All right, my love. So that concludes this edition of the weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this week. All right. If you would like to book a personal reading with me or order a natal chart, a progressed natal chart, or any of my other astrology reports and consultations, all of that information will be in the description box below. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the best for this upcoming week, and I will see you guys in my next video. All right, my loves, have an amazing week and take care.